The Winnipeg Jets just shocked the NHL by signing two massive extensions. We'll break these extensions down for you on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into that, we just want to say that if you're one of the thousands of people watching that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, become a part of the Hat Trick HQ community. We'll be here all year round, keeping you up to date on what's happening around the NHL. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of the video today, and that is the Jets shocked the NHL. And as we take a look here, this is breaking news from Darren Dreger that Hellebyuck and Scheifele agreed to 7-year extensions with the Winnipeg Jets at $8.5 million AAV for both. Obviously, Mark, this is huge. We thought both of these guys were trade bait, but now they're extended for 7 more years. This is just massive.
Yeah, no, this is shocking news. You kind of looked at the league, and for the longest time, people were speculating Hellebyuck to be moved, Scheifele to be moved. We've seen them move on from Blake Wheeler, so it was kind of the situation where they're going to go into a rebuild, or were they getting back into the contention with keeping their guys, running this year out with them. And it kind of just shocked everyone to see these huge extensions of 7 extra years put on. Both be 37 at the end of this, both getting $8.5 million each year.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like, we were recording another video and we seen this come through. Both of us were really shocked. We were not expecting this because just last week we seen headlines like this from The Athletic saying that a big Hellebyuck trade question, and today we are now seeing that he's extended for 7 more years in Winnipeg. Obviously a great goaltender in this league. As we take a look at his stats here, last year he was 37-25 with a .920 save percentage, and he was a 2019-20 Vezina Trophy winner. Obviously, Mark Hellebyuck has been one of the best goalies in the NHL over these past years, and having him up on the trade block was huge because we thought a lot of teams would have got a nice goalie here. But the Jets decide to keep him in Winnipeg, which I think is just a great decision.
Yeah, this is massive, like I said, for the Jets, where you kind of get into the situation where you have one of these league elite goalies. He might be a top 3, top 5 goalie. He's one of the best. We've seen him win the Vezina. We've seen his performance year after year in the playoffs. Just overall, he's just an outstanding goalie. And the Jets keeping him for what seems like his entire career once he hits the age of 37. It's just perfect. You lock this guy up, you keep him here, you keep contending, and you build this team around the pieces you already have. You continue to get younger with some prospects coming through, but you still keep your veterans that have brought this team to where they are today.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely with Hellebyuck between the pipes, they're definitely big contenders always because this guy can steal games for you on any given night. And this is a type of a goaltender you need when you're in the playoffs to make those deep runs. But we're going to get into the other guy here who is obviously Mark Scheifele, another league vet here in Winnipeg. Has had great seasons here in Winnipeg. Last year he put up 68 points, and his career high was back in 18-19 where he put up 84. And Mark, obviously Scheifele has been one of those players that has, been a pest out there, I guess you could say. He's one of those guys that kind of gets under opponents' skins, but he can also go out and get you those points.
Yeah, and like you lock this guy up, he's your number 1 center. I know there was a lot of rumors going around that Blake Wheeler and Scheifele weren't great for leadership. They moved on from Blake Wheeler, but clearly they're committed on a guy like Scheifele being the number 1 and Hellebyuck being the number 1. And you have so many pieces around him, like I said. You have this elite center that's going to go out and put up points. He's going to be a pest. He's hard to play against. And you have one of the best goalies back there between the pipes. This is just an outstanding move, and I think it honestly shocked not just us, but all of Twitter, everywhere. Just social media has blown up since this has been done.
Yeah, nobody was expecting this because just last week we all thought that they would have been traded before the season starts. But here we are. They're extended for 7 more years, 8 more years in Winnipeg. I think this is just such a great move for the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, I think it now lets them to kind of not go into that rebuild and kind of be contenders for the next several years. But we're going to get into just that. We're just going to say the Jets are still contenders. And obviously here, we see last year, they did finish 4th in the Central with 95 points. They were 46-33. Obviously, they had a great team last year. And as we take a look here, they have a deep roster, adding Gabe Vilardi and Niederreiter and even Perfetti, such a good prospect too. All these guys here, I think they're going to have such a great team. They got a great top 9 here, just looking at it with Alex Iafallo, Iafallo, Adam Lowry down there on that third line. I think this team's going to do really well this year. And if we take a look at their defense here, obviously Josh Morrissey has been a great defender for them. Neil Pionk has shown his development over the last couple of years, now 28 years old. They do got a young guy there in Dylan Sandberg. And obviously they got Connor Hellebyuck with Lauren Brossoit in the pipes as well. And obviously, Mark, you're just looking at this roster right now. This just looks like a playoff team to me.
Yeah, this is the big thing. Like, you bring Velarde over in the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, and you kind of looked at this and you're like, is this just the first step of them maybe moving on from a couple older guys? Pierre-Luc Dubois is not that old, but he seemed like a guy that wasn't happy in Winnipeg. So you bring this guy in. I think he's going to be outstanding on this team. Like you said, on the defense, you have Josh Morrissey, who, in my opinion, is just an incredible defenseman. I don't think it gets talked about enough. And then you have Connor Hellebyuck, and you fill in these pieces with Cole Perfetti, who's a young guy. You still have Scheifele, you have Ehlers, you have Connor. There's so many of these guys that are such good players that it's hard for the Jets to go into this rebuild. And I think this is the proper thing, just to extend these guys, keep them around, and just keep this window open. You see Minnesota, they did well last year, but the teams below the Jets are going to start falling a bit. Some of these are in rebuilds as well. A Wild might take a little step back. It depends on the development of everyone. But the Jets are a team that I could see finishing top three in the Central. They're going to be a team that I don't think will be a wild card team. I think they're just going to be straight into the playoffs. And I think they can make a bit of noise, especially at deadline, if they want to acquire a couple guys and just go fully in on the score.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think this is a roster that's going to shock a lot of people. I know Winnipeg in the past, since they came back in the NHL, kind of have been there every year, but never really made a lot of noise, I guess you could say. But I do really think that this is the roster. I don't want to say this is the year, but I do think that they have a great chance at getting into those playoffs and making a deep run. And like you said, with a guy like Kyle Connor, I think besides Cole Caulfield, because I'm a Habs fan, I think Kyle Connor is my second favorite player in the NHL. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but this guy just uses his speed so well, and he has such a great shot as well. I think this team, he's going to benefit with all these guys coming back with Scheifele. I just think Scheifele, is a great leader in that dressing room. Like I said, a guy who goes out there, is kind of a pest out there, gets on their team's skin, and you need a guy like that to win.
Yeah, no, just overall from top to bottom, I think this Jets team is going to be awesome. You also got to enjoy the whiteouts they do in the playoffs. It's memorizing where you just watch this entire stadium just completely white it out. I think they're a fun team to watch. I think they're going to be fun in the West. I think they can make a bit of noise this year, and they might be just a couple pieces away from really making an impact in the Western Conference in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. The whiteout is something I want to experience some point in my life, because that just looks like a crazy environment. It just looks magical. I know most of you guys watch this might be Winnipeg fans, and I mean, you got one of the best playoff things on the go. I think the whiteouts are just amazing. I know they carry it down to the Manitoba Moose and stuff too. That organization is just amazing, and we really hope Winnipeg Jets the best this year. But we want to know what your guys' thoughts on these extensions were, because me and Mark were kind of shook to the core when we seen this. We want to hear what your thoughts, especially from the Winnipeg fans. We haven't really heard much because this might be our first Winnipeg video. So if you want more of this content, let us know down below, because we love talking about the NHL. Any team, it doesn't matter. But we're going to get into everybody's favorite here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today is from Jose. He says, "What do you guys think of the rumor for Nylander and Nylander for Stamkos?" Obviously, I don't think that this could happen, Mark. I'm going to be honest, because if I'm Toronto, I'd rather keep Nylander than Stamkos. But I know before we started recording, we did mention that Stamkos could be an option for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You kind of look at this Jets team where you didn't know if they're going to sell, if they were going to be buying. You kind of see this with Calgary as well, where you're not sure what direction they're going in. But a guy like Stamkos might want to come back to Toronto. Or not Toronto, sorry, Canada. So if he wants to be in Toronto and they can't make it work with a deal, you could see him maybe come back to another Canadian team. Maybe the Jets take him on a one-year deal. Maybe the Calgary Flames take him, the Oilers. There's so many possibilities if he wants to come back to Canada. And I think the Jets could be in as buyers this year, especially if they're succeeding, everything is working out well. They want to make these couple pushes to keep their older guys still young as they can. And a guy like Stamkos, I think, would look crazy on this team.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. And Mark, I'm just going to say the West Coast Canadian teams look just as good as the East Coast teams. I think, I'm going to say it, the year for Canada. Bring it home. Come on. We need it back in Canada. Hopefully it's one of our Canadian teams. Probably not Montreal, but hopefully it is. But maybe Winnipeg can do it. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, so we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. But if you enjoy the NHL, make sure to check out this video we did on some NHL news. So it's popping up on your screen right now. Make sure to check that one out. But I've been KC alongside my co-host Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.